Hi Book Dragons! I just want to do a quick wrap up for the second half of the month, and I want to go through the books that I read. September was definitely me adjusting to going back to work. I am still not fully there yet, but we are getting there, so I hope October will be a little bit more balanced. Hopefully things turn like just, my schedule will work out a little bit better. But I do want to go over all the books that I read in the second half of the month and give you my overall month stats. So I wound up reading 18 things. I read 6,239 pages. My average page count was 207. I did read some shorter things in this month, and that does typically happen as I venture back to work. I always say I read my biggest, chunkiest books in the summer because I have a lot of time to devote to those. My average page count was 346. I'm back up to mystery being my most read genre. I definitely did read a lot of mystery. I read books with rep. I read 4. I read 12 from authors I've read before, and I didn't put in my September books yet. I should probably do that. But I actually didn't get a lot in the mail yet. I didn't get all. I just got my Owl Crate in, so I'm waiting for them all to pop up so I can do my spreadsheet stuff, but I didn't haul any yet. And then I had 5 5-stars, I had 7 4-stars, and 5 3.5 for an average rating of 3.92. I actually had a pretty solid reading month. 12 new releases, 2 backlists, 4 from last year. I read 8 physical, 9 audio, and 1 ebook, and I started 5 series. I continued in 3, and I read 10 standalones. At least right now, there's classified as standalones. I read 7 middle grade, I read 3 young adult, and I read 8 adult. I did actually have a pretty big middle grade month, to be honest. And I read 5 ARCs, 3 from Audible, and 3 from the library, and then I read 3 on Everett. And sometimes my stats don't match because sometimes they're like different things. And I read 5 mysteries, 5 romance, 2 contemporaries, 4 fantasy, 1 science, and 1 horror. Or light horror, I guess, because I don't really read like crazy horror, but I would classify it as horror. So the first book I wanted to chat through that I finished was The Humdrum Bookstore, which is a translated book. I had to read this for my one of my classes. It like had to translate a book for Magical Readathon for Aurelium, and I'm going to attach a photo of that one here. I gave this book like it's probably gonna be like a 3-star read. Like, I liked it. I just think that it was very, very lit ficky, and I felt like when I read a book about books, I need to have a romance, it needs to have a mystery, and it was very, very slice of life, which is not bad. It just, I didn't feel that connected to the characters. I felt like every character. What happened? Sorry, my dog is very upset that my dad. What? My dog does not like when we all are not in the same location, and my mom and my dad are outside and I'm inside filming this, and she doesn't like that. So it was fine. I just think that when I read a book about books, it has to have like another element kind of pushing the pace. It was fun. It's just not very memorable. I read that midway through the month and I really don't remember it. So it was just not my cup of tea, but it was fine. So if you're looking for a translated book about books, it was fun, but it wasn't anything to write home about. And the next book that I read was actually like really surprising. I read this for one of the prompts for Mystic. I think I had to read a book that had like a cloak on the cover. And I read The Memory Spinner by C.M. Cornwell. This is one of my ALA arcs, a middle grade story. And I love this book. I gave this book 5 stars. I'm actually going to put this in my classroom for my students. Like a lot of these that I read, a lot of the middle grade ones, I'm probably just going to put in my classroom. But I actually really like this one. It basically follows a main character named Lavender, and she works with her dad as an apothecary assistant. But she starts losing her memory after her mom dies, and she can't figure out why she's losing her memory. So she winds up working with a sorceress to kind of help her with her errands, to kind of give her a like some medicine or kind of like a cloak to help her remember, but she doesn't know why she can't remember things. This book was very, very surprising. There was a twist in here that I did not see coming. I gave this book 5 stars, and I think my students will really, really like it. There's also like a talking crow in it, and I really had a fabulous time with this book. I gave this book 5 stars. It does have a lot of grief in it. It does talk about growing up, very, very quick friendship dynamics, but I'm so happy I got this from ALA because I never would have read it if I didn't have it on my shelves, and I really like this and gave this book 5 stars. And then another book that I'm definitely going to keep is because it is Runaway Max a Stranger Things novel. I read this because it was inspired by a movie or a TV show. I had the audiobook, but I got this when I was in Ireland, and this is probably one of the Ireland books I will definitely keep. So just like a keepsake from my trip. And it is the year of Stranger Things. I'm so happy I got this. This is a very good adaptation of the first 3 seasons of Stranger Things. You do get a little bit of Max before she came, and you do get to be in her head a little bit, but it's definitely like a recap of the first 3 seasons. I think that this is, yeah. I know that they were talking about the mall opening, so it's season 3. So 2 and 3, you kind of get a good recap of being in Mac's head. It was fun. I liked it. I gave it 3.5 stars, but it like was very much like a recap novel. I really want to go back and read Lucas's and what's her name? Robin, because I feel like their stories might be a little bit different, but this story was very much like a full adaptation of the season 2 and 3 with a little bit of side commentary. So I gave this book, 3.5 stars, and I really did like it, but I am keeping it for that reason, because it is a book I got from Ireland. And then I did one of my ebooks that I really, really liked. I read Falling Like Leaves by Misty Williams, and this was such a cute Gilmore Girls-esque novel. Basically follows the main character named Ellis, and she winds up moving to Connecticut with her mom after her and her daughter split up. She goes to this very, very fall-based town, and she winds up falling for a boy she knew back in the day, and it's very, very Gilmore-esque. It's like a small like town in the fall with a lot of like small town traditions, and I love this book. I gave this book like 4.5 stars. It was so cute with the vibes, Gilmore Girls, but also like a lot of like family and high school drama. But I love this. It was just so warm and comfy, a fall rom-com. I really liked going to bed. I will say in my ever since then, I've struggled to pick up a book that I've actually really, really liked to read before bed. But this one was one that I really liked, and I gave it 4.5 stars. So I'm going to probably give that one to my coworker. And the next book I picked up was for a social media scroll I keep wanting to call it Battle-a-thon, but that was for Rebel-a-thon, and that was a social media scroll. So I'm going to add the Honeycrisp Orchard and a photo of that here. This was a very, very cute, like, all fall vibe story. Like, it obviously had a romantic element to it, and I liked it. It was just more fall vibes. This book, that I read was fall vibes, but had a romance that I really, really liked. The Honeycrisp Orchard, I didn't really like the romance, and the main character kept making jokes about dementia that I just, did not like. It just kept, taking me out of the story. I don't think I like the 2 main characters. I don't think I like the romance in it, and that's why it was, a little bit less engaging to me. But basically, you follow a main character who is an event planner, and basically her boyfriend kind of steals her pitch, and she gets fired because they think that she stole his pitch. She kind of goes back to this small town to kind of help with their fall fest, and she winds up having a romantic entanglement with one of the people that works with her mother. And it was fine. I really liked the fall vibes of the story, but I wasn't a big fan of the romance. It was obviously spicy, but I just didn't really like the characters. So, and I'm a little bit disappointed because I really did like Valerie Bowman's, her historicals. I loved her characters. So this one's a little bit of a disappointment, and I only gave it 3 stars. And then I read a book that I'm not going to be chatting about in this video. I don't review their books, this author's books anymore, but I am doing a readathon with one of the Patreons that I follow, and we're doing it. It's going to be a year long. So I'm never talking about those books anymore. You can kind of catch my drift what series I'm talking about, but I don't talk about her anymore. But there is an extra book on here. So if you say your math doesn't make sense, I do, but I'm just not talking about it. And then I wound up physically reading, but I had to return it back to the library, Play Nice by Rachel Harrison. I will attach a photo of that here. Another book that I don't think hit that well. I've never read anything by this author, but she is definitely very, very popular when I go to Comic-Con. She's signed there before. And this was basically a family. Their mother passed away. They weren't that close to her. And they have a house that she has, and the house has believed to have been haunted. She wrote a book about it. And our youngest main character is kind of going to go and trying to flip the house, and it's like a haunted house story. It was fine, not that memorable. The characters I didn't really like, and I'm not a big horror fan, but I read it. I had to read it because it was on Mel's TBR, and it was fun. I gave it 3 stars, but it's not anything I'm going to remember at the end of the month. And then the next book that I read, I did really read a lot of my ALA books. I read Legendaros, The Wrath of the Rain God by Carla Ortiz Valente, illustrated by Vanessa Morales. This is a very, very quick book. Like, I'm going to put this in my classroom, and I promise you, by like the month's end, someone will take this as a prize because it's so little. It has such big print. And it was just very, very Percy Jackson-esque. She followed two main characters. They're moving from Mexico to Chicago because their dad got a new job as a principal. They don't really want to move, but they wind up getting to Chicago. They wind up getting sucked into this magical world where they have to save the rain god, and it was fun. It was very, very quick. I read this in like an afternoon. They have like very, very big illustrations, very, very big font, but I had a fun time. If you are looking for someone that's not quite ready for a book like Percy Jackson but want the vibes, I'd pick this one up. And I gave this book 3 stars. It was also very, very short. So that is where we are with that. And yeah, I'm gonna come back for the other 2. I just have to go get them, so I will be right back. I swear, whenever I film, everyone always messages me and calls me, and it was nothing that important, so sorry about that for the delay. But the next book I did read was another like 4.5 star read. I actually really like this one. Maybe it's like 4.5 stars. I think I might have gave it 5 on Goodreads. I read We Met Like This by Casey West. This is her adult contemporary romance, and I love this book. I thought it was so fun. The only thing I will say about this is I wish we got both characters' point of views, but I do understand why we didn't. So you follow a main character named Margot. She's a hopeless romantic. She's an editor, and she's sleeping with her boss, and that's like very, very frowned upon, obviously. But her boss is not giving her the promotion she wants, so she winds up matching with this guy on Tinder a very, very long time ago, and they had a very, very, very bad date. But since then, they keep matching with each other, so they have like a conversation, and they wind up, you know, having a relationship. It's very much like second chance friends to more. Very, very self-discovery. I've always said this about Casey West. She develops her self-discovery storyline so well. So I really did like this book, and she basically, after she got fired from her job, she has to kind of find a new way to make her way in the world and start her own agency, and I loved it. It was a book about books, but it was also a book about self-discovery, and I really did like the second chance romance. I just prefer my romances where we get both characters' point of view, but there was a very specific reason why we didn't get Oliver's point of view. But I really like this one, and I gave this book 5 stars. So. And then the next book that I read, the last physical book that I finished, was A Box Full of Murders by Janice Hallett. This was a murder mystery for the YA set, and I gave this book 4.5 stars. Like, I also had a really, really fun time with this book. This book had a very, very unique premise. It followed 2 brothers and sisters, and the parents are separated, and they're living in opposite houses, and one of them finds a box of a murder investigation set at a camp in like the 50s, and they kind of piece together what is happening and who committed this murder through, you know, voicemails and stuff, and like emails and correspondences. And it was just very, very fun. I really like this book. I really hope we get more books in this series because I like this characters quite a bit. And for a murder mystery, it was very, very tame. And also, like, it was very easy for kids to follow. There was, like, a lot of pictures. There was also, like, progress checking to see how they were doing about solving the mystery. I really like this book, and I gave this book 4 stars. And the last book I finished in the month of September was Murder at the Movies by Ellie Alexander. I will attach a photo of that here. Was the second book in the Secret Library or the Secret Bookcase mystery series. I really did like this book. I didn't like it as much as book 1. We had a lot of side characters coming in that like I just did not feel that connected to, but there was a movie premiere in town and the murder mystery was kind of around that. We got a pretty big reveal at the end about the overall mystery about who killed our sleuth's best friend. There was a lot of criminology stuff in here, and I just had a fun time with it. I gave it 4. Sorry that I got cut off. I didn't charge my camera or didn't have any more space in my memory camera. I just wanted to go over a few of the entertainment things that I did. I just wound up going to see Stranger Things, the Upside Down play, which was so good. I have to add that to my graphic. But I also am in the middle of watching Only Murders in the Buildings. I finished watching Wednesday. I finished watching the last season of The Summer I Turned Pretty. And I also started Sullivan's Crossing. But I also did see that Stranger Things play. So I'm going to add that to my infographic because if I don't write it, I will forget about it. And this is honestly how I do all of my like, and then honestly the changes that happened this month was going back to work, commuting, all of that fun stuff. And I watched enough things. Like I think I did have a nice balance about it, but it wasn't like my best entertainment month. And then October is going to be very, very busy. We have a lot of stuff going on in October. So yeah, let me know in the comments what was your favorite thing that you read or did in September. I would love to know, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye, bye, friends.